we waiting before God in procrastination? Sometimes age seems to give us a different outlook on time. Different stages of our life allow us to see things in a different way. I don't know if, again, we talked about remembering back to a Christmas. I don't know how many of us can remember back to when we were younger. We'll take a big event that most kids look forward to, getting their license, being able to drive. You know, when you start to think about that, you have to wait here until you're 15, a lot of places 16. It feels like it's an eternity. Like, how long am I supposed to wait? But as we get older, time seems to go a little bit faster and a little bit faster. Hopefully, as we age, we start to see things in a different light and prioritize things slightly differently. But my question is, have we learned the beauty of waiting? There can be beauty in waiting. Now, I also want to be real clear because I mentioned this word. Sometimes our waiting can become procrastination. Don't confuse the two. Sometimes we wait on God and we're excited about what He's called us to do. We're so excited. But as time goes on and life changes, what He called us to do might be harder for us to do. It might be harder for us to step out and take the risk. When I was younger, graduated from high school, if God would have said, move across the country, okay, no problem. But as you get older and you establish roots and you make friendships and you have family that are around you, it gets harder to have those kind of things said. Sometimes it gets a lot harder to have God say, okay, now I want you to go. Many people, that hope of that wait becomes procrastination because they're like, yeah, but I want to wait until this happens. How about I just wait until my friend's wedding? How about I wait until my child accomplishes this? How about I wait until my grandchild does this? Waiting can become procrastination. Acts 24:4, it talks about Felix. After some days, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish, and asked for Paul to be brought to him. He listened to Paul talking about believing in Jesus. But Felix became afraid when Paul spoke about living right, about self-control in a time when God would judge the world. Paul was sharing the gospel with Felix. Felix's heart was being moved. But he wasn't sure because what about those details? So he said, go away now. When I have more time, I will call for you. At the same time, Felix hoped that Paul would give him some money so he would often send for Paul and talk to him. Paul did this for 2 years. Talk about someone being patient. Paul was being patient. And in those 2 years, Felix still had excuses every time. Finally, he was replaced as governor. He left Paul in prison to please the Jews. And as far as we know, he never accepted the gospel. The key here to know what waiting for God is and how it shows patience. But I want you to understand, procrastinating God's calling is sin. And it's destructive to our life. If God has called us to do something and we say no, we're not doing what he's asked, so we're defying him. Defying God is sinful. I want to share a short story about a lady who procrastinated. I thought this was kind of to the point. She thought one day, well, my car might need a quart of oil. It's been a while since I've checked it. I should probably check my oil. You know what? It's too cold out there today. The wind is blowing. I think I'll wait. A few days later, she thought again, boy, I really should probably check that oil. I didn't get to do it the other day, but I have these errands to run, so I need to get them done. And then I'll take care of it. But by the time she got home, she forgot. Now, I can relate, because sometimes I do too. A few more days passed, and she remembered again, I should check that oil. But by this point, the red check engine light came on while she was traveling home. I definitely should probably check that when I get home. But she pulled into the garage, and she thought, I am so tired, I'll just do it in the morning. She got up late the next morning. She was running behind, and she thought, I don't have time to check that oil. I'll do it when I get home. Several days more passed because she forgot again, and her engine started making a strange sound. She was worried and promised herself that she would quit waiting. But when she went to pull in the driveway, she got a phone call, and it was important. And she forgot. She decided to wait. Finally, the engine started smoking and heating up. There was a really loud noise, and the engine died. She just couldn't imagine why this would happen. What went wrong? She called the wrecker. She explained the sound. And when the driver came, he said, Ma'am, you've blown up your engine. He raised the hood, pulled out the empty dipstick, and it testified against her because it was empty. Not one drop of oil. Now that $3 quart of oil will cost you $3,500. You sit here and you listen to this and we chuckle and we say, she had plenty of chances to check her oil. She really blew it. Truth is, many of us do the same thing with God. I don't have time to read my Bible right now. I don't have time to pray tonight. I'll do it tomorrow morning. And then we wake up in the morning and we're too busy. Oh, we're running behind. Well, God, I'll get to it later. We always have something that supersedes or takes the place of time with God. But when something goes wrong, we want him to take care of it for us right away. Difference. When we wait on God, we prepare for what he has in store for us. When we procrastinate with God, we push it off. We don't do it. We never listen. And we don't give him the importance that he needs. Big, big difference between waiting and procrastinating. Are you waiting right now for something? If you are, think about it. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for God to fulfill his promise and calling in your life? Or maybe you've been procrastinating. You know what God called you to do, but you tell him, I'm a little busy right now. I'll get to it another time. God, the time's just not right. I can't do that yet. I need to take care of this, this, and this before I can do it. Be honest with yourself today. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you where you are. I'm not here to tell you what God's doing in your life. That's between you and God right now. But I will say this. If you are patiently waiting for God to fulfill His calling in your life, use the time that you have to prepare. Read, study, pray, practice your slingshot, whatever it may be. Do the things that God is putting before you because He's preparing you for something, even when we don't understand it. If you're procrastinating today to something that He has clearly called you to do, I challenge you to stand up and take action. Don't wait until everything blows up. Today is time for action. See, action in waiting is preparation. Say that again. Action in waiting is preparation. Action is a calling. Action is a submission to God to do whatever He needs to do to prepare you for that calling. Action is knowing that when He speaks to you and He says, now is the time, pack up your U-Haul and move 1,500 miles, that you don't say, yeah, but. It's time to say, yes, God. It's okay to admit it might be hard. God, I might need your help in this. God, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I trust you to open the doors. But we have to say, yes, God, I'm ready. Yes, God, here I am. That's why we need to prepare. We need to be ready to hear His voice. Bow your heads with me today. Father God, I thank and praise you for the opportunity that we have to share and to talk about you, to learn more about what you do and how you operate. God, I ask today that if there's calling on lives in this facility, God, it doesn't matter how old or how young we are. God, you can still have callings that are new to us, callings that you have been preparing us for. God, I just ask that you would prepare our hearts, that if you are calling us into something, Father, that we will step forward and we will say, God, you know, I have no idea how this is going to work, but I know that if I trust you, everything will be fine. God, if there is something that you've been working on in someone's heart and life here today, Father, and they're pushing it aside, God, they're pushing it off to tomorrow. Lord, they're procrastinating. Father, I ask that right now, Lord, you speak to them. You speak to their heart, and you let them know this one's for you. I'm here. I'm knocking. I am asking you to do something. Stop pushing me away. Stop pushing it off for another day. God, allow us to open that door, to invite you in, and to know that, God, no matter how difficult it might be, when you call us to something, when you have us wait in preparation, Father, when your time comes for us to step into that, Lord, that we know that your timing is always perfect. Ours is not, but yours is. Father, just make it clear to us today. Lord, I just ask this in your name. Amen.
I've had sorrows. I've had questions for tomorrow. There's been times I didn't know right from wrong. But in every situation, God gave me blessed consolation. And in my trials, you only made me strong. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Thank God for the mountains. I thank Him for the valleys. And I thank Him for the storms He's brought me